This is The Filter on iHeart Podcasts Canada.
So an incredible interview with the iconic Finger 11. That was so fun.
So good. It was such a natural chat, too.
Yeah. And I'll be totally honest, totally upfront. As someone from the UK,
Yeah.
I wasn't that familiar with their game.
Yeah. And see, I grew up listening to that. So Paralyzer, like, insane.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
And as a big wrestling fan, I obviously had to ask them about the song Slow Chemical, which was Kane's theme song in the WWE. Iconic.
Yeah.
So loved that. And then getting to talk about new music that they're coming out with soon. We heard that little clip of Adrenaline.
And it's been so long.
Yeah, it's been, I think 2015 or 2016 was their last full album.
Crazy.
And they're having the busiest year this year. They're on tour, the Summer of 99 tour with Creed and some epic stadium shows, and then also the arena shows at the end of the year. So they're doing Bud Stage and Scotiabank Arena in Toronto this
Doing
year.
all of that in 1 year is crazy to me. They are just, I would be so tired.
You'd think you would space it out. You know, like at that point, you'd be like, oh, we'll do the album next year and we'll focus on the tour this year. But no, it's so cool to have them in the building. It was great chatting about the old Much Music days as well, because so many memories of them performing. They mentioned that rooftop performance.
Yeah, which I'll never forget.
Paralyzing.
I remember that happening.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
So
amazing to chat with the guys from Finger 11. Really excited to hear the new music. You'll hear us talk about some of their favorite pop culture moments as well, where songs were featured in movies like Daredevil.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a hush-hush moment when they weren't sure whether or not they were allowed to talk about the song being in the film with Ben Affleck in a scene, which was really interesting. And yeah, just it was really nostalgic. Just kind of like going back. I mean, it must have been especially for you.
Yeah. No, I remember growing up with them, and I mean, I was into all of that genre, and they were just killing it. They were everywhere on the scene, and I mean, what a whirlwind for them to come back with this, like all of the touring and the new music. I'm stoked to hear it.
I know you're desperate to go and stream some Finger 11 now and relive the good old days, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, just rocking out. But for now, listen to Finger 11's chat about their new music and about what's coming up this summer on tour. And yeah, just looking back at some of their favorite moments and being inducted into the indies as well, which we'll talk about in a bit. Yeah, so
much going on for them.
So cool. Finger 11 here on The Filter. Hanging out with James and Scott from Finger 11. Welcome.
Hello.
Good. Not bad. What about you?
Good.
Ready for a busy summer on the road?
That's absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Machine's starting up. Yep.
Yeah, ready to go. So you're on the Summer of 99 tour with Creed.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Bud Stage. It's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good summer.
Yeah.
It starts actually in a couple of days. And then it's just road life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very excited.
All while working on some new music, which we're gonna get into shortly. First of all, congratulations on being inducted into the Indies Hall of Fame at CMW, Canadian Music Week recently.
Thanks.
How was that? When did you find out?
I think it was before it was a couple weeks before the actual show, but it was a really nice honor. You know, and they had this presentation sort of from the beginning of our career to the very end. And I got to say, it looked pretty good. I was like,
it was kind of neat to watch it all.
Yeah, it was neat because there's parts where you kind of forget.
Yeah.
You forget that we've been doing this for, ever. This is the longest, ever since we were, 12 or 13, we've been in a band. So the plan's still working, but it was neat to see it all up on the screen. So it was quite the honor.
Yeah, I think we got a bit nostalgic as you walked in here in this building and the Much Music days and being back performing, just across the street.
Well, we did a show. We played Paralyzer on the roof, and there was fireworks and everything. And we've had some great moments here.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fireworks. So did you ask for a copy of that highlight reel where you're like, I want to have that?
I think we got a copy of it, but more importantly, we wanted the award. Yeah, because they give you one.
Right.
We're like, well, who's going to
cut it in half?
Yeah.
Cut it in 5.
Yeah, so we got to get on that.
Yeah.
My trophy case is empty right now.
You recently performed for the Canadian Armed Forces.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we went over to Latvia.
Wow. How did that come about? Do they do that often? Do they just get like? It sounds like a fun place.
I think so. Like we went to Spain and we played on a helicopter carrier, and we went to Afghanistan and played in Kandahar airfield. So our name must be somewhere circulating in the rock and roll for the troops kind of thing.
Yeah,
But it's frequent enough that we've done it a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's such a trip. Like we're riding around in these like armored vehicles and like revving the engine on a tank and stuff. Like it's really crazy the places you get to go because of music. Man.
Yeah. I saw on Instagram the video that you guys posted from the show. It looks like they know how to have a good time.
Oh yes.
Yep.
That's the thing. They like rough and tumble, so they're not afraid to push each other around and get into it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
Nice.
We once did like a show. It was like an evening gala for like a tank battalion, and the women were wearing ball gowns and they were crowd surfing and moshing, and it was like it was very awesome. So military crowds, pretty
a real
awesome.
good mix of like class and chaos.
Yes, yeah. Like,
did you get to go into one of the tanks? Did you get to see it?
Yeah. I got to turn it on and rev the gas and like get a good feeling of how hot and uncomfortable it would be to be a tank driver.
Right, you get an idea where you think there's more room in that tank than there is. There is not.
No,
there is not.
Yeah,
wow. It's.
But yeah, some really neat vantage points that we've got to see when doing those kind of like military things.
Yeah. What are some other interesting places that you've performed in, or just stage setups? I mean, you just mentioned the rooftop before, and at the Much Music Days, and then obviously performing for the Canadian Armed Forces. Is there anything else that comes to mind like that?
Like a battleship as well. That's sort of the same, a helipad, and then like a daiquiri bar, a chicken restaurant. Like we've pretty much run the gambit.
Nice.
Yeah,
like a roller skating rink.
We can make a stage out of anything.
Yeah,
we're that professional.
Yeah. It's already been a year since you released the Greatest Hits album last June, and what was the response like to that? Were there a lot of fans that were happy with the track list, and what was made on there?
I hope the fans were happy with the track list because a lot of thought went into it. There was a lot of discussions amongst the band. Like we took it very seriously, and it wasn't just throw those songs on there, and of course the running order, and we also put a newer song on there. We put Together Right on there, and lucky enough that was a hit because that might have looked weird. But it was nice to actually be at the position of our career where it's like, okay, we do have enough songs to make a Greatest Hits record. That was a win.
Even almost too many.
Almost right.
This is actually a little bit hard to do.
Right, we can't fit that many. You got too many good songs.
It sounds like bragging, but it was like we just took it so serious that if you could have seen it, just
So there were a few songs. I think you're always going to get a fan who's like, "What about this song? What about that song?" It's like when you play live. We try to make set lists to keep in mind. We're like, here's the songs
Yeah.
But you're always going to have a passionate fan where it's like, why didn't you play this? And so that's always you feel bad about that.
100%. I mean, and so many of your songs have been, so massive in people's lives and growing up and, in the late 90s and early 2000s. Look at some of the pop culture moments and the movies and stuff, and the WWE with Slow Chemical and 1,000 Mile Wish and Elektra and just so many awesome moments where your music's been featured in some really big things, like even Marvel movies and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, Daredevil. Actually, we got sent early footage of a chase scene, Ben Affleck chasing this guy through the streets into the subway, and asked to write a song that would suit that. And we ended up writing a song called Good Times that it ended up lyrically being like, well, it's not really good for a chase scene, but it was like to get inside scoop, like they sent us a script for Elektra that was like a blue copy, like you'll die if you share this kind of thing, and like inside scoop stuff that was like, wow, this is a trip.
That's awesome.
So we got sent that, and then they never asked us again.
That was it.
But Good Times would not have been a song if it wasn't for like we just rewatched this VHS tape of Daredevil. Remember he splashes into a puddle and then the scene starts. We just watched it so many times.
Well, similarly, isn't it true that Slow Chemical almost wasn't a song either? Because was there not a bit of back and forth between WWE and the guys behind Kane's music?
Yeah, Rick actually reminded me of that. We made the song. You have you had to do a variation of what his theme already was. So it was a collaboration with what was already there. And then when we finished it, we mixed it how we wanted it to sound, and they wanted it to sound a different way. And we were like, no, we don't want that. And they're like, yeah, but we're not going to do it then if you don't want to. And we're like, oh, fine then. And so eventually we thought we lost the gig. Like, we were so young and naive, we thought, like, screw you, WWE. We want it to sound like we want it.
Yeah.
And so we thought we lost the gig. And then it was one night we were out at a bar, and Kane came out, and this song came on, and we just stopped and we're like, oh my God, yes. So it was a bit of a surprise, and it was our version of the song that made it through. So
Yeah.
a little win for the little guy.
Yeah. Kane didn't walk into the bar. He was on the TV.
Yeah, he was on the TV. That's right. That's right. Yes.
That would have been even better.
I know. You know what I'm turning into? Like when you have an aunt or a grandparent that, like, they start the story in the middle and they assume you know all the details. You're turning into that.
You've got a lead singer that does that.
So yeah, it was. It was fun to, like, we had such convictions about what we do that it was like, we don't care if the president of if Vince McMahon comes here and says it's got to sound like this. We're like, no, it doesn't, Vince.
Yeah.
So, but it worked out. It was good.
And I think you've stayed true to that over the years, and I think probably even with the new music that's about to come out as well, you're still making music that you were making in the very beginning. It's the same sound that you guys love and that your fans love as well.
Yeah, it's been a bit of trying to rediscover it, where you don't feel like you're just on the treadmill doing the same thing. You got to think of a way to get at it in a fresh thing. But ultimately, yeah, I think we have developed enough of a sound that we kind of keep something that we keep doing.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I heard a little bit of the song Adrenaline.
Yeah.
And it sounds awesome.
Cool.
Can you tell us more, and what can you tell us about the next project that's about to come?
Well, that song, Adrenaline, is it's right there in the name. It's got this really high energy that I was trying to capture. I heard the guys put this music together, and I was like, okay, this is taking me somewhere. I want to try to harness that lyrically, And I mean, I don't, draw on like angst anymore because I'm not like 20, right? So you just have to sort of find a different energy nowadays, and I think it's a really uplifting song, but it's also aggressive. And
yeah,
I think
I'd say it makes me feel like we're going for it, and if we die because we're going for it, too bad. It's going to be fun while we do it.
Right.
Something like that. Like, I don't care about the landing. I just care about going off the ramp, kind of thing.
I guess that sums up the whole career.
There you go.
We were going to make music no matter what.
Yeah.
So we still have that attitude, but we've got a whole bunch of new songs that we're really excited about, and that will eventually culminate into a record later on.
Wow. So will that be the first proper album since what, 2016?
9 years or something, somebody said.
2015 or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
a little while.
Wow.
A little while. It'll be worth the wait, though.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
That's epic. And we'll get to hear some of these songs performed live on the tour this summer. And
yeah,
at
we're
the end
just
of the year.
figuring that out now, how to deliver it live and get comfortable with it. But yeah, that's coming. So it's all super exciting.
Yeah.
It's cool when you've been doing it for long enough and suddenly something new and kind of maybe a bit of nerves, a bit of like, whoa, what's going to happen? It's good that when that shows up. So,
well, we can't wait to hear it. Thanks so much for hanging out, Finger 11.
Yeah,
we can't wait to see these live shows this summer, obviously this month at Budweiser Stage, and then back in November, I think, 2 more shows, Montreal and Toronto.
Yep.
It's not often you get to play Bud Stage and Scotiabank in the same year. That's epic.
They should give us an award for that.
We'll look into it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to The Filter, an iHeart Podcasts Canada production. Subscribe to The Filter wherever you get your podcasts.